So the next thing is also like really exciting and one of my favorite things that Twilio does a lot, which is like we're going to do a live demo. We're going to bring some folks up here who are going to show you the tools, who are going to get their hands dirty, who are going to build something in front of you and see if they can make it work. And most of the time, this works really well. I saw it this morning. It works great, I'm sure. So I think that it's one thing for us to come up here and tell you stories about the engagement experience, tell you about how the tools are powering it. I think it's a totally different thing to actually show you how it works, how it's getting done. So I'm really excited to bring up Devang and Matt to do a live demo and show you how to actually build one of these engagement experiences yourself with Twilio tools.
Thanks a lot, B. Folks, thanks for joining us today. So my name is Devang, and I'm joined here with Matt. So Matt is on our sales engineering team. So Danny mentioned that it took them 4 months to build out the system that they have and fine-tune it. We're going to try to attempt to build something here now in 40 minutes. So let's see what we can do, right? So folks who, if you could just give me a hand signal, a thumbs up or something as to if you've used Twilio already. Anyone used Twilio? Great. So for some of you who have already played around with Twilio, some of this is going to be sort of a primer to what Twilio can do. But you're also going to see some new tools that we've recently released, and that might help you build out more stuff with Twilio. All right? So you go to these events, and they ask you, put your phone on silent, put it in your bags, put it in your pockets. This is Twilio event. Take out your phones and call this number. And keep your phones handy, because we're going to use your phones throughout this presentation. And you're going to help us make it a lot more interactive and also keep us in check whether Matt is doing exactly what he's saying and it works. Great. I saw some of you have already received a message. For those of you who didn't have a chance to call, the message probably said, thanks for calling. This phone number is not configured yet. If you want to program it, go into Twilio console, and that's where you'll be able to program it so that you can control this phone call, right? So from what we've heard this morning, right, before Twilio, if you wanted to control a phone call or program it, you had 2 options. One, build the entire stack yourself, right? Or get someone like Genesys or Avaya to come in and sell you their solution, but still work with connectivity vendors. Make sure that you have your stack covered, tested, QA'd, and then have your application designer or application engineer go in and start controlling some phone calls, adding it to your systems. But this meant that you were probably working with a very small set of people who could actually work with this equipment. While this starting from the scratch gives you ultimate customization, what it doesn't do is it doesn't give you speed, and it costs a lot of money, right? So it'll probably take you several months to put this together. It'll probably cost you several thousands of dollars before you can even make your very first phone call, let alone control it, right? Now, your other option is to go out and buy off-the-shelf software. And we also heard from Danny earlier, which was they went out and bought off-the-shelf software, gives speed. It probably doesn't cost as much. You log in and you pay per use or you pay per seat. But at the same time, it gives you the function that it was designed to give you, the function that was designed for, right? So if it was an IVR, it lets you do an IVR. Now you need to add recording, or if you need to add something else, speech recognition, if you need to add an SMS, you probably have to look at a different solution, and it maybe doesn't talk to each other, right? So you're reliant on your vendor's roadmap as to when they are going to make the changes that you want to do to create the experiences over calls. So with Twilio, things are a little bit different, right? With Twilio, we've taken the telecommunication network and we've turned it into an API. So with this API, you're able to instantly provision phone numbers, and not just in the US, but across 100 different countries. You're able to get toll-free numbers, and also if you own numbers already, you're able to port those numbers into Twilio. That's step one. Step two is then you're able to control and program these phone numbers so that they fit into the workflow that you're trying to design, right? So if you're connecting with your customer, and you're connecting this customer to, let's say, a particular individual on your, in your organization. So for example, if you're Uber, you're trying to connect them with a particular driver, you would be able to do that with a workflow that you would build on top of Twilio. If you're an organization that needs to connect a customer to a team, like National Debt Relief, you had to connect them to a customer service agent or a team of customer service agents, you are also able to build a different workflow to be able to do that. And if you don't need to connect them with a real life person, if you want to connect them to a system that replies, that has a bot response, or that has a automated notification, or that has an IVR, those kind of things can also take place, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with APIs, which are really good to be integrated with other systems. So these are the things, these are the APIs, verbs that are used to control phone calls. There are many others that are published on the Twilio site. But just to give you an example, the first one over there, the dial verb, that helps you make a phone call. So you give the dial verb your to, who you want to reach, the number you want to reach them with, so your number, and then it places the call for you, and you're connected with this person using this API. Now, I want to talk about one more example. I know we've heard quite a few, but imagine this. You are a researcher in MIT Media Lab, and you've built this algorithm that may have a tremendous impact on people's health, right? You created this algorithm that has the ability to detect Parkinson's disease symptoms. And the challenge that you have is you got $50,000 in grant, but the moment you are trying to scale this project, and the way you're trying to scale this project is by having people call in and collect their voice recordings, so that you can run this algorithm and be able to test against these voice recordings whether people are able to detect Parkinson's symptoms. You are stemmed because you have to invest in telephony, which costs certainly more than $50,000 to get your project off the ground. So Dr. Max Little, who is in MIT Media Lab, he started playing around with Twilio. He's a mathematician. He started playing around with Twilio, and within a few days, he built a prototype where he was able to ask his colleagues to call into a phone line and take them through a IVR voice menu, and be able to give them voice prompts saying, record this speech at this point, and be able to record that speech. Not just that, but take that recording and analyze it to detect the symptoms of Parkinson's. And within a month, they were able to scale this out to 10,000 callers and crowdsource the data that they needed so that they could actually produce results and show research around how impactful the study was, right? We just heard from Danny that to record anything, it takes servers and servers and servers. With Twilio, they were able to do it without any servers, but also more so, they were able to build it within weeks, days, and months, rather than having to take thousands of dollars and a lot more time. As an organization, we probably don't have that complex needs. Maybe as organizations, at the very basic, you need a website and you need a phone number, and the phone number needs to have an IVR. At the very basic, that IVR needs to say, press 1 to talk to sales, press 2 to talk to support. So with Matt, why don't we try building that out?
Let's do it. Can we change screens? Yeah. So if you all want to grab your phones out again for us, you should have the phone number up. And what I'm just showing you here is the Twilio engagement cloud, a product called Studio. So Studio is Twilio's drag and drop building tool. It allows us to quickly and easily take ideas, take what you would imagine as a concept and a flow, and rather than doing the code, you do the drag and drop bit. And what we're going to build here is a simple welcome to sales, welcome to support IVR. The whole system is pretty much built to allow developers, project managers, and product managers to really kind of engage and not need a lot of code in order to be able to build on top of Twilio. I'm going to use a couple of cool little tools, like dragging information to connect our incoming call into this IVR flow. But I need to finish it. So we're here right now, and you can see I've got 3 boxes. I've got my welcome message, I've got my logic that splits up based on the digits, and right now we can pass calls into our sales hotline. So let me just go ahead and finish here and add the support hotline to this. So. Thanks for calling today. So just for the demo here, I've got two little boxes that represent my, my call flows. The one over here is my sales hotline, and the one over here is my support hotline. In the real world, you would then pass these on to your either existing legacy IVR system or pump it through to whatever PBX technology that you're currently running on. Now, I'm just going to hook this up to the phone number that you've got. So in the first time that you did the call, you had the Twilio welcome. Please come here to configure your messages. And now let's actually do that. So if you all want to get your phones out again now and give that a call, you should see this flow in action. Save. Thank you. There we go. It's like a little C when it happens. It's sort of it's like a wave that sort of comes across because you get a little bit of like everywhere, and then it's like a puddle, and then a big bunch of people is like, oh, welcome to my demo, welcome to my demo. It's great to hear the echo. Also, it means that it worked. So you should have all been able to pick either one or two and jump through to my sales hotline and my support hotline. So in less than a couple of minutes, we were able to build a small business IVR that gives you a bit of credibility. You could take that Twilio number, put it on your website, and anybody that comes across your website is immediately put through to an IVR. They've got confidence that it's not a man in a truck at the end of the road. You would believe it. But it gives you a little bit more credibility. It allows you to stand up this, and with almost no code and no infrastructure whatsoever, Twilio is hosting this, running this, and executing this every time a call comes into your Twilio number.
Great. Yep. I'd say it's just not a small business IVR. It's the business IVR that is small. So digits, pressing buttons is great. It works. But I often have this experience where I'm trying to figure out what they're saying and then say, oh, which one? Press one, press one. OK, press one. Oh, no, that wasn't the right one to press. So, digits work, but wouldn't it be better to have speech, right? Speech so far has been pretty frustrating. I mean, I think the only speech recognition that works when you call up an IVR is operator or representative. But I believe speech is changing pretty fast, and it's going to be part of the modern communication experience, right? We're already talking and hearing jokes and playing Jeopardy with these devices. Recently there's been a lot of change with AI and machine learning where speech is actually becoming useful when talking to a machine. So as a business, what do you do with speech recognition? IVR is probably a very straightforward thing. You call steer based on sales, say sales. Support, say support. But you can also do data capture. You can identify places where people get stuck when they are conversing with your speech recognition system. You can also do live speech recognition to say do an analysis on sentiment, whether that call is going well or not. And then you can build a conversational bot. So it's not just about recognizing speech, but it's also about understanding what was said and then responding back through an automated response saying, hey, so I see that you were trying to change your flight booking. So are these options that are better for you? Telling is great. Showing is even better. And we said we're going to do things that Danny took for months in 40 minutes. So here's another one. We're going to add speech recognition to our IVR.
Cool. So this one you'll really like, and I think actually a lot of people are going to get a kick out of this because everybody that plays along, you're all going to speak into your phones at the same time. So we're going to have a lot of sales kinds of things. But let's build it now. So what we're seeing here is our welcome platform. And right now we have it set up for the user presses keys. This is right now the tone phone that you're touching. Press 1 for support, press 1 for sales, press 2 for support kind of thing. But additionally, Twilio gives you the option of user said something. We can take and use speech recognition in exactly the same way that we split the logic here. We can also split the logic based on words. So let's drag in our split. We can hook it up. And speech result.
It's a matter of just taking the speech input and then applying logic to it.
Now, because we've already built our sales hotline and our support hotline, we don't have to rebuild these. We can continue to use these and pump them in exactly the same flows. If I just remember to save it this time. There we go. Right. So if you all want to get your phones out again and dial the same number, for those of you that are feeling brave, if you want to ask it to say sales, or actually, let's correct the welcome message for you guys. So, and want to talk to sales. Say sales, or, and if you want to talk to support, say support. Oh. Have I spelled it wrong? It's hanging up on me.
First one who gets it, raise a thumbs up. Okay, it's working.
It's working. Okay.
It's working.
Yeah.
It didn't say or dial. It said
Oh, okay,
Didn't
so
stick yet.
yeah, this bit hadn't been stuck yet, so you were probably caught in an old flow because I forgot to change the text. So
We know it's instantaneous. It's not pre-baked.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. So we start with a simple IVR. We added speech recognition. Let's do a few more things. So back in the Bay Area, there's this report that Kleiner Perkins, a VC firm, publishes every year. Mary Meeker's the author of this report. This year, she published a report, and this report said that an average enterprise has 1,000 different cloud services that they use within the organization. And not only that, these cloud services, they're used by multiple teams, and customer data is spread across these thousands of apps, right? Again, referencing Danny, he did mention that integrating data from communications into applications and integrating application data into communications is critical, right? That's what brings the power of context when you're having a conversation with the customer. So Twilio lets you connect all of those data dots, right? Whether it's your CRM system, whether it's your shipping system, whether it's your billing system, marketing automation, social systems. Because Twilio is built with APIs, we are able to hook up into those systems, and we're able to also connect with systems that can push data into Twilio. So Schwartz Supply Source, they've been running their business for a century, right? They've been running their business where they provide building supplies to B2B companies or to other businesses. And when they first started, they had stores where people would walk in, make an order, wait for a week, get the supplies on a truck. Then came phone systems, so they made agents available. People would call in, order supplies, get the materials. Then came e-commerce, and they put together a great website. Over the century, they've continued staying on top of technology. They created a great website. They hooked it up to their ERP system. So if you are a business who has an account with Schwartz Supply, you're going to be able to call in and talk. You're going to be able to log in, and you'll have all your permissions as to what kind of materials are you allowed to buy, what kind of credits do you have, and then what's available in inventory for you to buy. So that was great, but people were still calling in to make purchases, and they were stuck behind IVR, right? They were running on legacy system. I don't know if it was what version of Cisco or Avaya was it, but they were running behind legacy systems, and because they had a small agent pool, people were getting frustrated that either they have to be online or they have to call during business hours, right? So what Schwartz Supply wanted to do is they wanted to hook up their IVR to their ERP system and start taking orders through an automated IVR. Once they found Twilio, they figured they would give it a try. They joined us for one of our hack days, and within a week they had built a prototype, and within a couple of months after iterating and getting the ordering process done correctly, they went live after a quarter. So again, telling is easy, showing is hard, and these are progressively getting harder. We're going to see how, so we've got 4. We're going to see how many Matt gets out of 4. Let's try another one. So this time around, we're going to take data and then we're going to add it to our IVR so that it's predictive and personalized when you try to call in.
Thanks very much. So I brought over here this quick flow that it represents our custom integration. So if you see at the top here, what we're doing is we're checking the phone number. We're passing the phone number from the inbound call into my CRM, my Salesforce, and we're looking for my name and the last product I ordered. This allows you to then create a really much more personalized experience to someone. Forget about, hi, welcome to my company, press 1 for sales, press 2 for support. Imagine if the first time you phoned Best Buy or an electronics retailer and they said, hi, Matthew, are you calling about the washing machine you bought last week? Do you need to speak to someone? Press 1 now. That really gives you a lot of great intelligence on the reason that they're calling and allows you to put the call all the way through to the appropriate agent when needed. So let's connect the last part of this up. What we have, just to make sure that we have a fail-safe, is if you're not in my CRM, I'm going to pass you through to the standard welcome message. But we should now be able to do this one. Now, this one won't work for the majority of you guys because you're not in my CRM. So I have a phone up here that we've queued up and we're ready to go. Hopefully, if I click save and the gods are with us, this one should work.
Hi, Matthew. If you are calling about washing machine, press 1 now.
Maybe.
Thanks for calling the custom welcome message line. In the real world, I would put you through to someone who would talk to you about your issue and already know your name and product. Goodbye.
So that one worked. But you get it. I mean, jokes aside, that's really, really powerful. Putting that person through to the right department, to the right team members, to the right people that can help you, whether it's a washing machine or a bank loan or whatever, being able to give somebody the ability to skip that boring IVR or to skip the welcome to my company message and give them context and say, hey, we know who you are and we are able to help you. Is this what you're calling about? Is an incredibly powerful thing when you start talking about how you engage with your customers.
Yep. So, folks, one more thing to point out over here. So, the earlier demos that you saw, it was a simple drag and drop, right? We know some of the basic building blocks that people use to create workflows. So we offer it directly within the menu of things you can drag into the canvas. There are things that you would want to do that are not necessarily available through the drag and drop. So that's where we have a product called Functions. You're able to add functions, basically custom code, to any of these workflows and continue to augment it. You can even attach these workflows to other workflows that you may have. So you could attach these workflows to, let's say, an email workflow that you'd already put together with a different system. And Functions is all serverless, so you don't need to put together any infrastructure. It all runs on Twilio. And again, it brings the ease and it brings the convenience, it brings the agility to your development process. So we saw a few examples. We talked about several different customers, but there are many different ways to continue programming phone calls, right? IVRs, call tracking, where Zillow was able to attach a unique phone number to every single home that they've listed on their site, so that when agent picks up the phone, they know what home is the caller interested in. They're able to say, hey, I see you're calling about 6625 Aiken. How can I help you with this call, right? Or with Lyft or Uber, when they're connecting the ride, they connect it in a way in which your personal number is not revealed to the driver, or the driver's personal number is not revealed to you. Instead, you get a proxied number that is unavailable after the ride is complete. With Salesforce, they've added the CRM. They have added a dialer directly into the CRM. So when Danny mentioned having a dialer within the CRM, they might have built a custom one. Salesforce has added directly something that you don't need to build out on top of Salesforce. TalkDesk has built an entire call center on top of Twilio that serves thousands of customers that are signed up with TalkDesk. And then Avon and Somerset Constabulary in the UK, they put out PSAs or emergency alerts to their community of tens of thousands of people through one single phone call. So really powerful when you get the very basic building blocks. You don't have to build it from scratch, and also it's not given to you completely baked so that you can't break it down, but basic building blocks that then you can use your ideas, your creativity to control the phone call the way you want. Phone calls are great, but we're probably not calling as much as we used to before. We're texting a lot, right? And as consumers, certainly I want to text businesses. And there are many reasons why businesses should be texting with customers, right? So one of the ways is a simple marketing promotion. You've signed up for a coupon. I certainly got a bunch at Black Friday. And again, the idea is to be able to give the information at the right time on the right channel. And texting certainly is the right channel for at least me. Another one is you're trying to log in. You've signed up with multi-factor authentication or 2FA. You're getting your code texted to you, and this is a way to log in securely. Third one, whether you're right or technician or any kind of coordination that needs to happen between you and the business can happen on a channel that's a lot more convenient and something that you are probably going to use, not the phone call that you're not going to pick up. And then lastly, going from simple notifications, oftentimes these notifications need to have a response and really turn into conversations where either you're conversing with a bot on the other end or you're conversing with a real human, but all of that interaction is happening through simple text messages as if you were texting your friends, right? So giving businesses the ability to be able to create these experiences while having the scale and the integration that businesses need to be able to be productive on these channels, right? You can't have your agents all have iPhones and then respond through their personal iPhones through messages that are coming in. You need a way to really scale it out, and as a business be able to provide the communication that suits your brand. Now, when you think about messaging, it's not just SMS, right? SMS is probably the most ubiquitous. It comes preloaded on every single phone, but there are many other ways to send messages or text with customers. In-app chat, so if you have an app and your customers have downloaded an app, then you can create text experience within the app itself. Push notifications is another one where it's mostly one way where you push a message out and then you're able to bring them back into the context of the app. Or OTT apps such as Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or Line, where you have a lot more rich experience because it's integrated into the social context of that communication. Now, which one to choose? I think that really depends upon your customer's preference, and that should be the premier. But also, it should depend upon your context of the conversation. So let's say if you are a bank and your customer has chosen that they want to communicate with you through Facebook Messenger. As a bank, you send a message saying, hey, looks like your credit card has had some suspicious activity. And if the customer does not respond because maybe they're traveling or they don't have Wi-Fi or they don't, if they've turned their notifications off for whatever reason, the business should be able to detect that and fail over to an SMS or to fail over to a more resilient channel where you are going to get that critical message and be able to respond to it if there's a need. So the context of the conversation should dictate what type of messaging channel you choose. And I think we need to see it. Up in the ante.
If you want to grab your phones out and move to messaging, we have a text number here that we can play along with. So if you will put that phone number into, if you will just queue it up, but don't send it yet, so 55921. So, and then if I just get a couple of verbal knobs that you've put it in. Yeah, okay. So what we have here is at the very top of our stack where we're managing our incoming calls, we can also manage incoming messages. And what we can do using text messages is we can give you a more richer experience. We can ask questions and use the questions to define the next set of questions to ask. Think of it like a really sort of a very clever messaging tree as opposed to an IVR tree. In the example that we've got here, I'm using survey questions to simply just kind of gather a little bit of information about you guys, and we can turn that data into live responses that we can then put into things like a Google spreadsheet. If you imagine going to an event or a conference or a trade show, being able to ask somebody on the fly, hey, what are the things that you're interested in, and what kinds of problems are you having, and would you like to speak to somebody right now, could be really powerful, because you could use that information to send Devang over to you and be like, hey, what is actually the problem that you're trying to solve, and maybe we can find a way to help you. And using text messaging is particularly a really good way of being non-invasive there. If you don't want to answer the text message, you don't have to. But hopefully you all will do in this example. I'm just going to drag this in and then save it. And you should all be able to then text the word engage to that shortcode.
Shortcode was 55921.
Yeah, 55921, for those of you that didn't get it earlier.
And the reason why we're using the shortcode is because it allows a volume of people to be able to text in and text out. So for this,
Yeah, it'll still respond. You could put anything in there. It's just, I get a number of people that say like, oh, what any word should I use? And it's sort of like, well, you can use any word.
Twilio.
It's the standard like, oh, where's the any key on my keyboard kind of thing. So you should now, for those of you that are actually texting, you should now be in a back and forth kind of conversation. It should ask you who you are, the company you work for, how do you like the venue, and this kinds of stuff. And what we can then do is we can take this data and pump it straight into a live spreadsheet. Using Google Spreadsheets and a couple of bit of back-end processes, every time you finish the survey, I can take and drop that straight into a spreadsheet. Imagine giving this spreadsheet to a member of your marketing team or a member of your on-site team that's trying to actually solve a problem. I could say, all right, you guys that are definitely interested in studio access, go and speak to this gentleman over here. He's got all the bits that you need to do. So you can see now that we're starting to get live data coming in. This is all of your actual responses being powered by Twilio by that studio flow.
Great, well, 4 out of 4. Yes. That was incredible. I mean, just seeing the messages pop up. For a second, I was nervous. I was like, why aren't they showing up yet? But you had just not completed the stuff. So it's great. We have your information. We'll get back to you. We'll find you and ask about your solutions. But more so, I think it's great to see that you're able to build all these things without having to have any infrastructure, any servers. You're able to build it out, even if it is a prototype, right? Maybe this doesn't go into production yet, but at least you can take an idea on that Friday night, and by Monday morning, you can show your colleagues, try texting this number. So, folks, I want to leave you out with a few things. I want to tell you what are the things available to you from Twilio so that you have in your mind, if you have an idea, you can identify whether these tools can help you actually turn those ideas into reality. So at the very base, we have a super network. It's a network of carriers, and this network allows you to instantly provision global connectivity, whether it's phone numbers or short codes or SIP trunks. And then on top of that, we provide you with all the channels that you need to connect with the customers. Programmable chat, voice, SMS, video, wireless, and even fax. Yes, fax is still around. People still use it. You know where your pizza comes from? It requires a fax message to go out to the restaurant for you to get your pizza at your home. And they're all available, not the pizza, the channels are available to you as APIs. Pizza, I wish pizza was available as an API too. You get Engagement Studio, which is what Matt showed you earlier. That is the workflow builder, but it also comes with different UI type templates if you needed to use them. And then Understand, which is not just speech recognition, but also taking it further, applying AI and being able to understand natural language. And that coupled with Engagement Cloud, where you get the software as APIs, API platforms for every single touch point. So whether it's account security, whether it's notifications, contact center. Danny mentioned a product called Task Router. And that's part of our contact center API platform, allows you to route any type of interaction, whether it's email, whether it's message, whether it's phone call, through one routing engine. And then connecting your mobile workforce through proxy, which is where you can anonymize phone numbers between two different parties. And along with all of this, you get, I would say, world's most powerful developer tools and resources. I mean, if you go on Twitter and just search for Twilio documentation, it makes me proud to say that we get some of the biggest compliments around our documentation, around our resources. But these are incredibly powerful because they're available to you, and they give you a range of things that you can put to use. So for example, we talked about functions earlier, but also add-ons. Things that you would like to use in your workflows, you don't have the time or you don't have the resources to build it out. Add-ons is a marketplace where other people have built out these capabilities, and they've placed it on our marketplace where you can easily connect it to your experiences too. So with that, I'm Devang, this is Matt, and it was a pleasure being up here.